Hey guys, welcome to the Geedunk. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're talking the finale of Survivor.
Yeah, that's right.
We made it.
Yeah, we made it.
We did it, people.
Yeah, no kidding, man. What a ride.
As a public service announcement, if you like the channel, like and subscribe. And this goes for any channel that you guys watch. It really helps content creators. So for any channel you watch, hit that like and subscribe button.
Absolutely. Especially our channel.
Getting into Survivor finale. We're here.
We made it.
What do you guys think? Billy, the first season of Survivor.
Yeah,
Don't be that unbearable Jersey guy.
I know, right? Yeah. I'm looking forward to a good season of Survivor. I had to say that much. You know what I mean?
Maybe you need to go back and watch another season.
I ain't gonna quit on Survivor, but I'm definitely looking forward to actually seeing a good season of it, because this one definitely wasn't a good season.
Interesting. I thought it had its ups and downs.
I
like
didn't mind
any
the season. There was aspects to it I didn't like, obviously, but I didn't like that it didn't focus on the game as much, but I did like the season. I liked the cast. I liked it.
So this was a meaty episode because we got to get rid of two people, and then we got to like boil it down to the final survivor.
Yeah, I don't like how they kind of rushed this at the end. I don't like going from
Well, it picks up where the last one left off, and they're talking about the fallout.
Well, it was a 2-hour episode. So they had plenty of room to fit all this stuff in there, I guess. But
bro, you people was shook, and that was the goal, was to shake the table a little bit, because it could maybe cause a rift in y'all little foursome alliance. And I think it might have.
that's Deshaun.
And now people are really
They're
crapping
just-
on him because the main fallout is like his truth bomb, right?
Yeah, the truth bomb
because
to Erica.
Erica's now pissed at him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And as she should be.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, not one bit.
That's why I'm like, I can't even talk to him. I know he says it's not personal, but like it was. It
really
was
was.
personal.
And then it kind of shows, too, that Heather's a little
Pissed at him,
off
too.
At him, and it looks
Heather
like he's
don't
pissed
really
off
know
at
what to
Erica
think
at
at this
first.
point.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then I guess
But
they
then,
hash it out.
yeah,
there
well, then
finally.
Erica makes up for that with a nice little surprise for her. So.
Yeah.
And of course, so Ricard is loving this.
Oh yeah.
'Cause it's
Oh,
bringing
dude,
a little heat away
he
from
said
him.
grin on his face, man. He's just eating it up.
And he's talking with Erica like, hey, you were done wrong. I don't blame you for hating.
right. We need to get rid of that dude.
Ricard being Ricard, playing his mind games.
Yeah.
Yep.
Deshaun thinks he made some big move, but all he was doing was making it more impossible for anybody to work with him if he was the one that stayed. It was perfect.
I mean, there was a few people on this show that played a good game. Ricard was one of them, for sure. Not too many of them on the show that actually that I could say, hey, they played a good game. Ricard played a good game. Xander played a good game, and yeah.
Ricard and Xander played a good game.
Right.
So
that was about it.
They get some little message that they have to de-scramble, and they're all kind of working through that. Ricard loves puzzles, but I think who was Xander the first one? He was the first one to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Ricard was, but maybe you're right. Maybe Xander was the first one to
Ricard,
figure
I
it
think,
out.
was like right behind him.
But Erica was the last person to figure it out.
Yep, Erica was the last one.
Then they are all hunting around looking in the dancing trees for this clue or advantage, and the last one to figure it out finds the advantage.
Yeah.
So
She
it turns
finds
out that
it.
was a pretty big advantage that I think that really helped her.
Yeah, it totally helped her.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
So the advantage gives her like a head start in the next immunity challenge.
She doesn't know what it is when she gets it. She's just like, hey, you have an advantage that's going to help you in the next challenge. And she doesn't know until they get to the challenge.
And then but she has to mention it, right? So she mentioned it, and then freaking Jeff's like, oh, good for you. Here's what you get.
Yeah. So everybody's like, oh, so you found it. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I found this envelope that said final advantage. Can I read what's in it?
Read it.
You will have a slight advantage in today's immunity challenge.
And what I was thinking maybe they were going to do, because that was a huge puzzle for that challenge at the end, right? I thought maybe it was going to be
Yeah,
like,
it was.
I thought
There
it
was
was
a lot of
I thought it was
pieces
going to be
to
like,
that
maybe they're going to be like, we're going to put together a third of the puzzle for you already
Yeah.
when you get up there. But, instead it was, hey, you got to collect only 3 ropes, so everybody else has to collect 7.
Yeah, and I was wondering like how big of an advantage that is, because normally people spend the longest time on the puzzle anyway. So I'm like, this probably ain't going to help her out too much.
Well, she got to the puzzle before everybody.
Right.
So
Yeah.
she had an advantage on that. I mean, if you see, like, the way the editing comes out, you don't really know how close everybody is, but it looks like both Xander and Ricard are catching up and pretty close to her. So maybe if she had, how's that chocolate?
Is that good, man?
I mean,
You can tell. It sounds pretty good over there.
Oh yeah.
you know what the Survivor cast did not get for 26 days?
They
Reese's peanut butter
they-
cup.
Reese's
passed
Pieces.
up on it.
They passed up on candy. They did. That's right. They had the opportunity to get that
And
candy.
some
They
chicken.
passed it up.
You should have had some chicken and broccoli here. Is what you should have had.
That's right.
So yeah, that lead gives Erica time to put together the puzzle the fastest, and she wins that.
Yeah.
And she does like Heather a big solid here, which it was nice to kind of see because she's trying to mend the relationship that like Deshaun tried to break up. So she's like, she wins like a steak dinner or whatever, and she's like, I'm going to choose Heather to come along with me and enjoy.
That's right.
Yeah. And I thought that was pretty
So
cool.
of course, Heather was like, woohoo!
Yeah. And now all of a sudden they're busties.
Because Heather knows she ain't winning nothing on her own, right? So she's going to get to a steak dinner or something. There's going to be somebody inviting her to get there, right? So she was all happy about that.
Yeah, poor Heather. I haven't seen her win too much this season.
She didn't win anything.
But as Jeff keeps pointing out, she never gives up.
That's right. She keeps trying.
She keeps trying.
Heather, you suck, but hey, you keep hanging in there, so you're good.
That's interesting, too, because before all that happened, they had a bad storm, too. And then you see, normally this happens like every season, but we haven't really seen too much this season of any of the weather effects or anything like that.
Well, because they got put on the new island with no like tarp. They have no, they're back to
so
like. So
they're just out there in the freezing rain.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting. Billy, you ever been cold like that?
Oh, yes. Yes, I have.
What was interesting, so I'm like, okay, you suffer through it one night. Like, how bad can it be? But then when you see the film in the morning and you see that they're looking at their fingers and they're all pruny, and it's like, man. Like you just can't get dry. Like
I felt that too. Like once I got out of the shower after cold.
It was the bathtub. He likes that.
Oh man. And then it's kind of like between Deshaun and Ricard who's going home because Xander has immunity idol. And then Erica's safe, and she's besties now again with Heather.
Yep.
So
and there was still no conversation about possibly putting a vote onto Xander and making him use the idol. It's like,
I'm kind of surprised
he's got an idol. We just don't vote for that guy. Okay, it's fine.
So, yeah, like I said, it was between Deshaun and Ricard again, and so Xander does use his idol, but he knew he didn't have to use it himself, but he's like, I don't want it to go to waste.
Well, this is the last week for him to use it, so it makes sense for him to use it.
Yeah, might as well get rid of it. Like he said, he's like, I don't need no souvenir here. Take it back and use it
him
on
and
me.
Ricard are having a conversation, and Ricard like drops the bomb. He's like, maybe I'll come see you and your kid. He's like, you mean 2 kids or whatever?
Yeah.
And then Xander starts crying like immediately from that. So.
I think Xander has a genuine connection to people.
Oh, he does, absolutely.
And I think he really has like this. It pulls at his heartstrings to like listen to people's story and realize that like everybody has a story.
As Vic say, everybody's got a sob story, and everybody on this show sure did.
Like, that's
I'm Uncle Xander, yeah.
So, and then he starts thinking, he's like, maybe I can save you. I can maybe use my idol on you. And then Ricard's like, you do that for me?
Wonderful.
There's a possibility that I could really change up the game by playing it for Ricard, keep Ricard because he's someone that's loyal to me.
Which was funny because like I was torn at that point when he made that suggestion. I was like, he could do that. No one would see that coming. Like no one would see that coming.
Yeah, but do you want Ricard?
You don't want Ricard.
You
but
don't?
I like both Ricard and Xander, so I'm like,
but I think that kind of bites Xander in the end a little bit too when he did that, because at that point he's telling Ricard, hey, I might actually use my idol on you.
Yeah, and then Ricard's like, oh, okay.
I don't know if you should be telling and floating that out there if you're not willing to actually
do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
that's going to put a bad taste in somebody's mouth when you don't do it, and it's like, okay, I'm not voting for you.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a strong move, but I don't think Ricard is someone you take on a risk.
Right.
He'd have to be able to sell himself after that.
And I think I think when you're in that position, you go through your mind and like, I have an idol. How stupid would I look if I got eliminated and I put the idol and made someone else safe?
That's true.
Right, exactly.
Like, how much of a fool would you look like at that point?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I think that factors into people like, let me just get through today and on to the next challenge.
Yeah, he had to use it on himself, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, he'd have been dumb to use it.
But it made sense to use it on himself, just in case maybe they're floating this like, hey, we're getting rid of Ricard, but in reality, we're getting rid of you.
Exactly.
So they have the tribal council.
Council?
Them dang
Tribal
council there.
Time to
That's
kick someone
hoedown.
off. And they ask everyone kind of like, what's the thoughts here? And Ricard like speaks up and is like, I'm kind of a winner without even winning this thing. I can't even believe how good I am at this game.
Yeah.
And if I'm Xander, if I was thinking about using it, I'm like, well, you just convinced me not to use it. You're sitting here telling me how amazing you are without even needing to win.
Well, then Jess even agreeing with Ricard. He's like, you're right, man. You're fantastic.
You're winning. No matter what, you've won.
I thought that was a bit of an odd conversation.
Yeah.
I literally can be one of the Survivor greats, one of the greatest players in this game without being a winner. And I actually do fully believe I am.
I think it's odd that you're eating.
Yeah, so at that point, I'm with you, man. At that point, if I'm Xander, I'm like, yeah, nah, this dude's going home.
So he uses it on himself. That's what you would expect.
Exactly.
But so yeah, there goes.
Yeah, and then Xander, of course, he had that bitter taste in his mouth, and even when they came back later for the jury, he still had that bitter taste, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm still trying to process it, Jeff."
Do you think Ricard thought Xander was going to use it on?
I think he thought there was a good possibility. Yeah, I think he was a little surprised because he had that smile on his face when Xander was like, "Hey, I'm going to use my idol," and he had that smile on his face,
like, "I've convinced this fool to use it on me."
And once Xander stood up, he was like, "Oh, this is."
And then that smile turned to a.
Yeah, he's like,
"Okay." Yeah.
I'm going home? Right. Oh, I thought I was bulletproof.
To make it so far and then not.
Well, that's what happens when you play such a good game. It doesn't go unnoticed typically.
Yeah. And maybe that's what we're missing when we're not giving credit where credit is due, apparently. But maybe that's what we're missing is that you're not supposed to play the best game. You're supposed to play a good game, but not be considered the best. I don't know. Maybe that's what gets you to the end.
The only way Ricard had a
chance
to get to the end is if he won this.
Right, exactly. He had to win that, exactly.
Which Xander was in the same boat, because if Ricard had won it, Xander would have gone.
Right.
So they were in the same boat. It had to be one or the other.
Well, it would have been Deshaun at that point, because the vote was really it was between Deshaun and Ricard at that point right there. So.
Well, no, I'm saying if Ricard had won that immunity and not Xander, they would have gotten rid of Xander.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So. It was do or die for
him. I don't know, man. I think Xander could have talked him into getting rid of Deshaun. I think he talked those ladies into getting rid of Deshaun.
Possibly, because he has had that persuasion, but he did not play up in his little speech.
Yeah. No, his Q&A sucked. But
Ricard is sent packing, and that's kind of unfortunate because he probably played the strongest game of anyone this season.
Yeah, he definitely did. No doubt about it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this is when it actually rained, not before, but this is the time it rained because Ricard wasn't there for all that.
Yeah.
So... Yeah,
he could go sleep in a nice warm bed that night.
Mm-hmm. And then they have another competition.
This one was cool. Like I was like, man,
it looked tough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. This one was like, it was one of those like, man, it is. Especially just how you gotta. I mean, you're watching that rope as you're trying to back up and move forward, trying to keep the exact amount of tension you need.
Super slow, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was crazy, man.
And then having to pick up the block when you're holding the rope too is probably like, how am I gonna grab this thing?
And I try to picture myself in those scenarios where you've got Jeff saying, and now Erica's in the lead with this and this and that, whatever.
Right. I think Jeff was like, he's like, I'm going to say as much stuff to break this guy's concentration to try and get him to drop one of these things.
Because I'm like, okay, because you kind of want to peek over and like, how far are they? But like, it doesn't matter how far they are because they could be this close to the end. And if they drop, they're right back at zero. So you just have to focus on what you're doing. And then that's what Xander did. Oh, yeah. And that's how Xander
he was really the only one close to finishing this thing. And I don't even know if he dropped his blocks once.
He did at the very beginning. Okay. Very beginning. But he learned that like real quick and then
he was on.
And then was like, I'm just going to take it slow. And then even when like Erica would catch up or Deshaun would catch up, they would
drop again. Yep.
The pivot
because they were trying to rush to catch up to him and he was like, I'm just going.
That pivot point looked a little like shady. I don't know. You know, like you just
and then
loosen
even
that rope for a second.
Oh, yeah, and at the very end, when it was down, Jeff kept saying, "You got you got 1 foot there. Oh, you need another foot.
He's like half an inch away."
You know, and he kept saying, and Xander was like, "I will take my time to get there," because like nobody was close to him at that point because everybody had dropped. So he's he could have taken another 10 minutes to get there. It would have been fine.
Especially when he can hear Jeff keep saying, "Oh, they dropped again. They dropped again." He knows he's gold. He didn't have to look over.
So Xander wins, and then they kind of show like a little backstory on him, which is kind of interesting because he was like a little chubby kid.
A little fat kid,
yeah. You look at him now, and he's like super scrawny, and I'm like, I want your diet.
Right. And I like how he's like, hey, if you work hard, you can achieve it. I really like that mentality.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I wish more people picked that up.
Yep.
I
liked his story a lot, like because he had no self-confidence when he won that, and he was like he really like broke down, and Jeff said, I can see this is like really emotional for you, and he said, can you think back to when you were a kid watching Survivor, saying I want to be on that show, and like can you imagine that kid imagine you winning, and he's like the exact opposite. That kid could not imagine being on the show or winning, like let alone. Not just winning, just being on the show.
Right, just making it on, yeah.
Because he's like, that kid had no self-confidence. Like, that was...
And then when he becomes a championship, like, state champion runner, track star. That's crazy.
Yeah, I just love the attitude and the story. I always, remember a quote from Colin Powell who said he's a big believer in luck. The harder he works, the more he has of it. So that really kind of spoke to me, which kind of went in line with that Colin Powell quote for me. So
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and then Xander he gets immunity, and now he gets to choose who he wants to bring to the final, and the other two have to make fire and break the rope to see who moves on. Mm-hmm. And he's debating let me hear each one of your guys' spill who I should take.
Yep. And I thought he was on the right path at first, because he's like, after he heard everybody's spills, he's like, okay, you know what? I know Erica can't really make fire.
No, she can't.
Or no, she can because she was on the island by herself. So I know she can make fire. So I don't want her winning fire against somebody else to give herself more brownie points.
Yep.
So I'm going to put the other two up. But then later...
that was sound decision.
Oh, sound.
At
Very
that point
sound.
in time,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's a really good argument to make.
I'm kind of good with that.
Yeah, but then when he saw that she can't make a fire at all... And you made you think maybe he's going to put her on the block, and he did. And I was like, oh, Xander, man, you should have put her on that freaking contest.
Well, it's kind of interesting, too, because Heather talks to him. He's like, you need to get rid of Erica because that's someone that can beat you. And he's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, he doesn't see Erica as a threat.
No.
Which I don't blame him. I
didn't blame him either. Yep.
He just doesn't see it. I mean, he can see that she has more on the resume than the other two, so that's why he didn't want to add the fire and the fact that he knew she could make the fire. So I see that argument, but he just didn't. I don't think he really saw any of them as a threat to him.
No, I don't think
maybe
he
was. Deshaun, knowing that Deshaun was in an alliance with a lot of the jury members, but that's why I just don't think
he's also pissed so many people off.
Right.
Who?
Deshaun.
Well, yeah, but I mean, and that's why I think at that point in time, Xander felt like he had won.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're in his shoes,
rightfully so.
Who do you take with you?
At that point, I'd have probably taken Heather. If I was seeing, I'd have probably taken Heather at that point. If I was seeing,
I would have taken Heather and let them. Yeah.
Well, I do really think he took Heather,
but I liked his sound decision behind it.
He's probably calculating Heather's the worst person here, so that's an obvious choice. Mm-hmm. So these two are my competitors. Why would I give one of them one more thing over me?
And that's the thing that right there is, I would have taken Heather because I can beat Heather, but. You're right. Whoever's winning that fire, I've now given them the argument.
What if he would have said, Jeff, I want to give up my immunity and I'll play for fire.
Ooh, that'd have been cool.
That would have been bold.
That would have been awesome. Yeah,
because he could start a fire in seconds.
I'd be like, I'm gonna give Heather my immunity. Give Heather my immunity.
Then it'd be like, wow,
that would have been really cool. Yeah. That would have been a great episode.
But that's a risk.
Yeah.
It takes guts to do something like that. But I was kind of thinking that dude.
Because
I thought he mentioned something like that. So I was like, is he gonna give up his immunity and be like, I'm gonna start this fire?
That would have been cool. Yeah, at that point, if he'd have won that, there's no argument at that point.
That would have been a boss move.
Oh yeah, dude. That would have been cool.
So he decides, he sticks with it, even though he's watching Heather struggle with the fire. He's like, no, Erica, I'm sorry. Yeah. He's like, I'm choosing Erica, and then Heather and Deshaun, which Heather hasn't done much, but she appears to be able to start fires pretty good. And Deshaun has, the stress over, I hope he didn't shoot me because I don't want to start
a fire.
And he's practicing. He's, not really getting it. I mean, he eventually gets it a couple times, but it takes him a while.
And when they're in the challenge, Heather is like...
She's the one struggling.
The fire starts just like that. I was like, oh, man, this is going to be over quick.
Yeah.
Then her fire starts to dwindle.
Deshaun gets his going first.
Yeah.
And then he smothers it.
Yeah, Heather was struggling big time at first.
That's true.
And Deshaun got his going quick.
That's right.
And then, Josh said, he put too many sticks on there and smothered it. And even the jurors was like, oh, no, he's going to smother it. He's going to smother it.
He just kept piling wood on top of it. So.
Yeah, and he also, I noticed when he was practicing before, too, he didn't, try to blow on it. He didn't try it. He just thinks more sticks, more wood, it's going to burn.
I don't think he gets the concept of it.
Yeah, I don't think he does either.
Not then, he didn't anyway.
Yeah.
He eventually got the concept.
But what did you guys think about that contest? Because it was cold.
It
was good.
It must have been rigged because...
Right.
Heather got some kind of trick rope.
Heather's rope was burning
fireproof
forever.
Way before his ever got up there.
Before his flame ever even got close to his rope.
Yeah.
Her rope was just burning and burning and burning and burning and burning. It's like, oh, that's going to break any second now. Any second now. And then all of a sudden, here comes Deshaun with the flame. And it's like, oh, it's a little bit of flame. It's a little bit of flame. Boom!
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't. It seemed like it took much from him. So it was once it started burning the rope, it was like, ping, 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 ping.
Yep. Yeah, that seemed off big time to me. I was like, man, that's kind of. I was like, man,
I don't think it was rigged. I really don't think it was rigged. But
it's just kind of luck of the draw.
Yeah, I think it's probably the way the flame hits it.
Flame,
yeah, exactly. It just hit it in the right spot or whatever.
Yeah, well, the wind definitely played a part. You can see Heather's her flame blowing off to the side sometimes.
So I mean, if it's hitting Heather's rope like over here and then over here and over here versus his was like hitting in the same spot over and over again, then, you know, I could see that.
So Deshaun is on cloud 9 because this was like his greatest fear, and then he conquered it. So he's like, boom! I did it, baby! I did it! Crown me! What's up?
Yeah, and I could see Xander's face too. He's like, oh.
Yeah, Xander's like, what is
that
going
is
on?
not what I wanted to happen.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm thinking, Deshaun's kind of screwed up so much. That's a brownie point for him.
I'm not really
I don't
worried.
think that really changes things too much.
No, I'm with you. I don't think Xander was worried about any of those people at all.
That's what I wasn't worried about it.
No,
at this point, I'm kind of like Xander kind of has it in the bag.
Right, exactly. Like, how do you not vote for Xander?
Yeah.
And then they come down to the interviews, and these interviews were done like a little bit different because it was like almost all question and answer. Where in the past they kind of give people time to like have their own spiel ready.
Yeah.
Right, this is all Q&A.
But this was like question answer.
Yeah.
And like I gotta tell you, like Shan was like beating up on Deshaun for a little bit there.
What I did notice though, I still even the Q&A seems staged, right? Because they went to freaking Evie first and had her say the whole statement. Well, first of all, I was going to say, or Evie, I want to say, you know, you all three did a great job and yada yada yada. And it almost sounded like it was just like a written, scripted kind of stage.
I don't know if that's scripted, but they probably said one of you's got to stand up and kick things off. So I don't think that was scripted. I think she just pre-planned what she was going to say there.
Right. Yeah, and I think that they're probably instructed too not to like really give away where their vote's going to go. They got to try to like, you know, make it look like they could go either way.
Oh, well, I don't know about that because because Ricard was all about like, hey man, I think freaking Erica's got this, and I think she did great, and she should win. And if these people didn't see that, then that sucks because she did a really awesome job. So I mean,
Ricard really beats up on Xander in the fact that which is kind of interesting because I thought Ricard might be bitter about Xander like punking him on using the idol, but he said, "I get why you got rid of me. I don't get why you chose to keep Erica."
So why did you keep her?
I was under the impression that Erica wasn't the biggest strategic threat compared to me.
And it's on Xander that he did not articulate it well enough. Like, because in the interviews that we're seeing, the one-on-one interviews before, you know, when he's explaining to the viewers why he's going to try to not choose Erica. He explains, you know, I know she could make fire. She was on the island by herself. She's done it. She was able to do that. I don't want to give her this to pad her resume. That makes sense. It's a valid argument. And he does eventually mention that kind of in passing.
Like the very last, right? Yeah.
But he doesn't harp on that. He also doesn't harp on the fact that his other reasoning behind that is he didn't want Heather, or he wanted Heather and Erica next to each other. He thought Deshaun wouldn't be able to make the fire and that Heather would be able to make it. So then if he took Erica, he's got Erica and Heather, and he felt like their stories were similar. So his story would stand out from theirs.
Here's what I'd be thinking if I was on the jury. We got Xander, who I think has made the most moves to this point, but he's a young kid. He's only 20 years old. Right. And he's put in a high stress on the spot situation. So I don't put a lot of credence on his answers. And Erica is a communications manager. So this is kind of more in line probably for what she did.
Right. She did awesome.
She was way more fluid with her answers. Xander stumbled. But as a jury member, I'm replaying the whole thing and going, what has each one of these people really done to win
in the
this
game?
thing?
Exactly.
And then as far as what and this is a strategy that Xander would never use. Like, I don't see him putting anyone down, but maybe he should have put Erica down and been like, look at all you guys on the jury. Ask yourself, did Erica put any of you there? Yeah. And the answer is no. She did not put any of you there. So what big moves did she make?
Maybe Danny, and only that was
because she was supporting Deshaun.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's the only one.
But she didn't orchestrate anything.
No, she didn't
like that. No big moves. She turned back time, won an immunity challenge,
which anybody would have turned back time.
Exactly. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If you're put in that position, you're turning back time because you want to be on the winning team.
And she made the argument that she was always on the right side of the vote. She was always on the right side of the vote because she went to the right side of the vote.
Right.
Not because she orchestrated the right side of the vote. She's like,
she decided
I'm going to go with the majority here.
Right. Exactly.
She was like, these people are in power, I'm going to go with them. And that's a strategy. There is a move to that.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that she's... I do think there were some moves that she and some strategies and the way she was able to articulate her gameplay. I think there were some things that we probably didn't give her credit for throughout the season.
You lacked that social game with most of the jury, and so they don't feel the same way I do. And I'm just like, oh, I wish you could all see it.
I know.
It's unfortunate.
I know.
But nothing compares to what Xander
did. No,
and what Xander had to do. The problem is Xander did not articulate it.
Right.
But they should still know what he did. And maybe not everything.
None of them ever respected Xander.
I'm sure the people on Yasa don't really realize what he went through on that team because he carried those teams. Every victory that tribe got was practically because of him.
And he should have mentioned that.
That whole team was ready to vote him out if they did lose.
Exactly.
And he should have mentioned that. He'd like, look, I'm the one that carried that team. He's like that team. He's like, we would have been the green team if it wasn't for me. Every win we had is because I put my back into it. I'm the one lifting people up over obstacles and doing, I'm the one making the right shots and doing this.
But unfortunately, I think Evie was kind of back and forth with how she felt about Xander, but Tiffany doesn't like Xander and Liana doesn't like Xander.
And that's the thing.
So, they just didn't like him.
And it never explained why, right?
There's got to be more to it than we know.
From the viewership, it never gave us any reason as viewers seeing this, that Xander wronged them in any way where they would not like him, So I've never understood why Liana had it out so bad for him.
And not just Liana, Tiffany had, Tiffany's face against, anytime Xander was speaking in this little tribal whatever, she was not impressed with it. She was like, I'm not hearing whatever you're saying.
And Shan and Liana are powerful persuaders. And I think they may have gotten to some of the other jury members, which I wonder if they should be separated from each other and not being able to influence each other before they cast their vote. If
that's probably smart.
Any different.
Yeah, because
it's always been that way, though.
Yeah, because bottom line, when this vote happened and when it went down the way it did, and we might as well just say it now, vote goes down and Erica wins, and it's like
Erica, 4 votes Erica, 1 vote to Sean. The winner of Survivor 41, Erica.
It's a landslide too.
Yeah, landslide.
Yeah.
Landslide.
Xander didn't get a single
vote.
Yeah, ridiculous.
For everything
gets
he did,
one.
Yeah.
Deshaun gets a vote.
And I wonder who did that, because if it's Danny, I understand it because they're boys. But if it's like Shan or something else, then that's messed up.
I think it was Shan. Yeah,
I think it was because I think it was like a heart on it or something. I can't remember.
If I put my money on anybody, it was Shan. Because one of the comments she made during that, she was like, look, I was ready to ride or die with the 4 black people, all 4 of us, right?
Yeah.
I was willing to take 4th place as long as one of you guys are 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
So based on that comment alone, it was all about...
she said, I never betrayed my people.
I never betrayed my people.
She made that comment,
for her, it was
maybe it was her. I don't know.
For her, it was all about race. Period. She made it very clear.
If it's Danny, I understand. If it's Shan, the only thing you had in common was that, and that's... I don't like that whatsoever.
That's not a reason to vote to win the game. That's not the game. That is not what you're voting for on the game.
And here's the thing. I try and think, when does this kind of happen similar? And Russell was a guy who stepped on everyone to get to the end, but he crushed people and didn't do jury management. I mean, Xander was great to everyone.
Right,
he didn't backstab it. He didn't play
he gave
a villain type of game.
He gave up things for himself
for
the tribe.
Right, and Nasir even spoke out about that.
Yeah,
Nasir's like, hey, Xander, man, you gave us food. You did this for us. You did that for us.
I wonder why Nasir didn't vote for him.
But the thing is, if Erica did more, then that's a terrible editing job.
That's true, because maybe she did, and we just don't get to see it.
Because we see who wins competitions. We also saw that one team was the last to choose her that gave her that option to turn back time. They were ready to get her up. And they kind of say, oh, she's a very strategic person, but we haven't seen it.
No, they never showed
What
us.
has she done?
Exactly. We never saw anything out of her.
I'm not crapping on. I like Erica and everything.
No,
and
cool.
I don't blame her. I blame the jury. The jury messed this up.
And that's really what made me not like. If that's how Survivor goes, and at the end of the day, it didn't matter who really did the best job, and it's just more of a popularity contest, then that's just stupid. It's like, why even play the game? You might as well just put people in a freaking house together and let them talk for 5 days and be like, oh, I like this dude best. Cool. I'm just gonna vote for him.
Now, there's a lot of talk that a woman hasn't won. Do you think that influencing it? They're like, white dude Xander.
Right.
And
you got a colored guy and then a colored woman.
Person of color woman. Yeah. Does that factor into anything?
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Maybe.
Sure, it probably did.
We don't know, but I hope not. I hope it's who played the better game.
But it wasn't. Obviously, that vote didn't come down to who played the better game because, Xander by far played the best game.
It's either down to the jurors didn't see it the way we saw it or whatever, or the editing is bad because
it could be the editing was
bad.
And
here's the thing,
because because Erica did articulate a lot of good gameplay in her Q&A and everything. However, there's still no big moves. There was still no Like, she kept saying she was on the right side of the vote. The only reason she was on the right side of the vote is because she jumped.
Well, that's what happens when you're a tag-along. You're on the right side of the vote. You just go with the flow. That's not making a move in the game.
She's like, I see they're all voting there, so I'm going there.
Now, what I will say about Erica, it's not like she was always dead last or anything. Like, she wasn't a Heather, right? She wasn't a Heather. She wasn't always dead last.
I put her right below Xander.
Yeah, she won a couple things. Yeah. Out of everybody who's left, I would have put her right below Xander too.
Exactly.
But not above Xander at all.
And I'm kind of surprised.
Fought his way everything. He would have been gone a long time ago had he not won those individual immunities. Had he not had the idols.
Xander kept himself in that game.
Exactly.
And he had plenty of opportunities where he made a decision where he lost his vote and still was in the game.
Yep.
There was like at least 2, if not 3, nominations that he could not vote on because he had that idol. And everybody knew he had the idol. He was saying the butterfly thing every time, and he still couldn't vote. And yet when it came down to the competitions, he won the competitions for his team,
winning,
so that he wasn't going to be the one going to jury.
Yeah,
or whatever, tribal.
I actually went to a website too because I was like, this is weird. Am I just like clueless on this? And I went to a website and they said, who do you think should have won? And 80% of the respondents said Xander.
Absolutely.
13 only said Erica.
Right.
So I'm like, where is this disconnect between the viewers and the jury?
Exactly.
There's something. There's something we're missing. I don't know.
I was not happy at all with that. I mean, like I said, and
I'm glad it wasn't Deshaun.
Yeah.
Deshaun,
jeez.
What I really don't like if the one vote for Deshaun was Shan because of the race.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like about that is because that would have been strictly for the race.
Right.
Because she literally called him out for throwing temper tantrums, and like that was his gameplay.
If it's Danny, I'm cool with it because that makes sense to me.
That makes sense. That was his ride or die.
The thing that kills me about Shan too is Shan claims to be a pastor, right? And
I don't know. He probably is. Pastor.
Yeah,
she is a pastor.
She claims to be a pastor. Right? In a pastor's eyes, we're all God's children, no matter what color you are, right? We're all children of God. We're all here together. And on this earth together, to get to heaven together, and so race shouldn't play any issue in that. So for her to completely stick to the race issue on that, it's like, come on, man, you're a pastor.
I don't know for sure that it was her though.
We don't know.
No, we don't know for sure. But
I mean,
but I think it was a very girly handwriting that wrote the name.
Oh yeah, it was definitely
So that's so it could have been.
Yeah,
it could have. That is sexist.
Well, but
I just don't think that Danny wrote that.
I'll tell you, Ricard has girly handwriting. Remember when it showed him wrote Deshaun's name?
But Ricard was very clear he was voting for Erica. All the way.
Now, and again, like I said, I don't blame Erica. I mean,
I don't blame her.
Good on her for winning. Yeah. She's a Survivor winner.
Yeah,
and
it was on the jury. 100%.
Honestly, like. I don't hate that she won based on like how she was able to articulate.
She handled the Q&A amazing.
Yeah, the Q&A, the
she
final
brought
episode.
It for the interview.
She did. The Q&A, she killed it. And like you said,
I'm just very disappointed that poor Xander did not get a vote.
Xander stumbled on that Liana question
He
too.
did.
Tell me about like how you
social game.
Picked up social cues, and he's like,
and what I don't like about that one is that exactly it's like crickets. Like she asked, and then she even gave him an example because she could see he was struggling.
Right. Yeah,
and she
tried to bail him out a little bit.
Kind of how I knew you had an idol the whole time, and you didn't know I knew, and it's like. He did know.
He did know you knew, yeah.
He did know you knew, which is why you kind of got punked on the whole,
exactly.
Do you have an idol thing? But he didn't point that out, so.
No. There was...
And Deshaun stumbled too, and Shan brought that up, and everyone, and it's like he didn't have a good interview either, but I don't think anyone really expected him to win.
No, he just
he was just kind of there for this one, I guess.
But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm glad he didn't win. I mean, Erica won, she won, that's great, whatever. But I'm glad Deshaun didn't win because that dude.
I'm just upset that Xander didn't get a vote. Xander did not get the respect he deserved.
No, he should. He should have won.
He was totally disrespected for his game on this, which is kind of sad.
And even after that, he still took it with grace, man. He's like, hey, it was a great time.
Well, that's him. That's Xander for you.
Yep. He's like, I'm 20 years old. I've got a lot more to learn in life, and I just appreciate this opportunity, and I love being here with you guys, and it was just awesome. And so,
look, I know they bring back players from different seasons and everything. I would like to see Ricard, and I would like to see Xander back.
I could get on board with that.
Now, what I will say about Deshaun that he did say too, he said something similar. So I give him credit for that. He said, look, I realize people perceive me a certain way in this game that I really never perceived myself as. And so maybe I do need to kind of think about that, and maybe I do need to change some stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
would you like to see Shan come back?
No.
Well, sometimes you need a villain.
No. Let me tell you the thing with Shan is there were things about Shan I didn't like when she played. She did railroad people. She I don't know, she didn't respect other people's opinions and everything,
Right, exactly.
and she didn't really listen. She kind of fake listened.
Yeah.
So there was issues I had with Shan, but you know, she was she knew what she wanted. Like I was okay with that part of it. What I really didn't like about Shan and where I really lost Shan was when she was on the jury. Every single jury visit, she had this look on her face of like, I hate all of you. I hate every single one of you that are left.
She's just very strongly opinionated.
Well, so mad and bitter about everything. Every single jury.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with having strongly opinionated people on the show. I mean, you need some of those people, but if they're going to be a person who makes it all about race, then I don't want to see them on the show again. Right, you lost me there. You know, her attitude and the way she was and the way she manipulated people.
I love a good villain. I love Russell, but
if you're going to make it all about race, then no. You know,
then
you don't need to be in the game.
Well, and I wish we could focus on the game. Yeah,
exactly.
But,
well, maybe we'll see her back.
Yeah,
back for Heroes vs. Villains.
I don't know, man.
You know who I don't want to see back? Leona was so weird. I did not like Leona. I didn't like. She just kind of rode Shan's coattails. And she was so hateful towards Xander.
Yeah, it was
so
ridiculous.
hateful. And you know what? I liked Tiffany until I realized how much Tiffany hated Xander. And I'm like, how do you hate Xander? Like, even if you're like, I don't want him to win because like I'm jealous of how good he is at the game, or he's always winning competitions, but I want to get him out, and it's like, oh, I can't get him. Like, how do you hate the kid?
Right, exactly.
Like, there's got to be something we don't know. There's got to be something we don't know.
So what do you think about the whole season, the cast, and everything in general?
I wasn't very impressed. I mean, like I said, there were only a couple people.
This is your first one.
Yeah,
so.
I was not impressed. The only two people I was really impressed with the gameplay was Ricard and Xander. You know, for the most part. And like I said,
Ricard, you did not like it.
And not at first, exactly.
I thought Shan played a good game initially.
Initially, Shan played a good game, but then once she started throwing the race stuff in there, and it was all about that.
Once
and then
they
she lost
merged and they had that group,
she lost me.
Downhill from there.
And then, Deshaun just whined and cried, and like Shan said, threw temper tantrums all the time. I hated that. You know, every episode, man, it was just him throwing
he's
temper tantrums.
He's very emotional and doesn't think things through.
I mean, he's a young kid. You know, he's like, what, 23, 24 years old or something?
He's very reactive.
But,
He didn't, like, have a plan.
Right, exactly.
I'm just going to cause chaos. Not for a particular reason.
Yeah, I mean, Danny was too quiet. He didn't play a good social game. You know, he was just too quiet throughout the thing, and he didn't win events like you thought he would, being a former NFL player.
I would have liked to have seen more from Danny.
I like Danny.
Yeah, I would have liked to see more from Danny for sure. Yeah, but he kind of screwed himself just being too quiet throughout the game, you know. And so
I liked really Heather, even though she didn't win. I liked that she never gave up. She never complained. Oh, I'm old, or I'm an old woman, or whatever.
Well, that's what was funny.
Or like
whenever
that's why I
that.
can't do that. Like she literally never gave up on the hardest things. She just kept going until.
But does a person like her stand a chance to win ever?
No.
So what's the point of having someone that's like that can't win it in the end?
If you really listen to the show, Jeff loves the personal triumphs of everybody.
Sure. We all do, but you got to be able to overcome.
Obviously, you go on the show, you want to win. Like that's it's $1 million, whatever you want to win. But like Jeff likes to harp on the fact that it's not just about that. It's about the journey. It's about the lessons you learn about yourself and your personal growth.
But I like the comment.
If you're a Heather, you have to have the strongest social game of them all. Where competitions don't even matter because my social game's so good.
Well, I like the comment Evie made when she was talking about, we get all these kind of young people we're learning from, and then we got the older. And Heather's like, I'm 52.
I'm not that old, people.
52's up there.
Yeah.
To be doing all this stuff.
It's not that far up.
It's up there.
To be on Survivor doing all that, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen people like 70.
Especially somebody who's a stay-at-home mom, right?
Yeah. So. We have seen older people win, though. So
yeah.
You gotta have a good social game.
I don't know if you've seen really an older woman win, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe one day. Well, then it was okay.
Could it be me? Could I go on there?
Nah, you couldn't handle this.
I couldn't. It's the
you
bugs.
can't even handle the bugs.
I couldn't handle the bugs. It's all about the bugs.
Complaining constantly.
So
and the sun. Oh my God.
So then they had the champagne and the pizza, and poor Xander can't have any champagne because he's only 20. So everybody else like, yeah, go on.
But he's in Fiji. What's the age there?
Yeah, what's the age there?
I don't know, but he noticed he didn't have any champagne. So, but and then so what did you guys think of the sneak peek at the season 42? Like,
you mean the most dangerous season coming up?
The most dangerous after this season's the most dangerous season. Now that one is, right? I was just laughing when Jeff said that. I was like, oh my goodness.
This definitely was not the most dangerous.
Oh, dude, there was nothing dangerous.
Sometimes you get people pass out from the heat or like the weather gets to them, or just like they can't handle the social aspect and stuff like that. And we haven't seen any of that on this season.
No,
so
yeah.
I mean, there was one season where they even pulled them in. Like, they said, we're pulling you and we're going to bring you into shelter. Like, the storm was so bad. They're like, this is a safety issue. We got to bring you in.
Wow.
And these competitions weren't dangerous more so than in the past either. Like, they have a blindfold, like people running into stuff like getting hurt like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
and in the past, there's been people fighting, and it's like, you
false
gotta
advertising,
fight
Jeff.
these people. These people, like that chick that dislocated her shoulder, and she's like, just pop it back in for me. And I'm like,
there ain't any seen that in this episode this season. But but what I did see, butter jam,
smooth like butter.
That's right.
Butter.
All right,
but you like that? It did look like a very diverse cast this next season, man. Holy cow! Whenever they had those boats come in and stuff, there was tons of different diverse looking.
I don't mind the diversity.
No, I don't either. I think it's good. So I'm curious how this next one's going to turn out.
Obviously, because now it seems to be between the last season of Big Brother and the season of Survivor. It has seemed to be, especially with the climate of the country at this point in time, as far as race goes, that they've formed these alliances based on race. So the more diverse the cast, the better to me, because I don't want anybody to form an alliance based on that.
Yeah, that's true.
Base it on, can you work with this person? Like, is this person going to take me forward?
Yeah.
Personalities.
They need to have a season people are handcuffed together the whole season.
There you go.
Randomly,
Yeah,
and then you keep switching.
That's right. Yeah, then you're
draw
forced
a number, and that's who it is.
Then you're forced to make relationships with other people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go.
I did like this season how they shaked it up a little bit with like the random team aspect at one point. I like that.
Yeah, I don't mind the random shakeups.
That was cool. I like
I'm
that.
okay with that.
The idol kind of stuff in the beginning was too much, I think.
With the whole like saying the phrase.
Yeah, and it looks like that might be back. I'm like, no one likes that.
Made it look like it's gonna be back.
We don't like that.
Yeah.
Trying to make it challenging.
I didn't really like to go to the island with another person.
I didn't like that.
Do a little walk together, a little hand in hand walk.
It didn't work out well for Deshaun or Liana, did it? Because they bonded, remember?
Yeah, well, that's where they made the halo.
That's right.
The halo? Okay.
It's Avatar thing.
All right, gotcha.
All right, well, so long, Survivor, at least for a couple months. Anyway, when's the next season coming?
Congratulations to Erica.
Yes, congratulations, Erica.
When was it?
I am a little jaded
yeah.
that Xander didn't win, but if Xander couldn't win, you were definitely
the number 2 for sure.
Yeah. So congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. And guess what? Spring is our next. Will be the next time we get to watch this and see how this new cast does.
You gonna be back, Billy?
Yeah, man, we'll be back for this. And hey, in February we got Celebrity Big Brother, right?
So
that's coming up. I'm looking forward to that one. So that's gonna be good.
I'm really glad I got him into Big Brother.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the last season.
CBS, you're getting us with these reality shows, man.
Yeah, I don't know how many more I can handle. I'm pretty good with 2 right now. But.
Just the 2. That's fine.
All right, guys. Hey, this was fun. Looking forward to Big Brother, and we hope you guys enjoyed our show. And if you did, like Josh said in the beginning, hit like and subscribe, man. We will check you guys at Big Brother.
See you guys.
Bye.
Peanut butter cup?
Why?
I was hungry for Reese's peanut butter cup.
I was like, remember the one episode when he was eating some shit too, and you were like, what's
cake?
Yeah, cake, yeah.
Let there be cake.
I'm the fat one.
Let them eat.
Let there be cake.
No, it's let them eat cake.
How come I don't get to eat?
Or in this case, let him eat cake.
I don't get to eat.
Oh.
Is it because I'm the fat one? I don't get to eat.
You could eat some cake. He didn't say you couldn't handle cake.
Imagine if you guys were eating when I was doing this.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Billy!
What are you eating over there?
Give me eating. We're trying to film things. You mad? Billy, I got one question for you.
You mad, bro?
You mad, bro?
You mad, bro?
You mad, bro?
You were the worst. Oh, he knows. He knows. Oh my god.
I knew it. Hey,
There's
Billy,
so
you ever
many
seen Moana?
You should be wearing a Tin Man costume instead.
When one door closes, another door opens.
I look at these shows and I think about like, I would love to have that story of triumph of like overcoming your fears and stuff like that. But I think those bugs, like, forget about it. And I love like when the range.
When Tiffany had that rhinoceros beater on her, you were that thing would have swallowed you.
That would have been an entire. She was like, that would have been a whole big scene for me.
This is sponsored by Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. 2 for me, none
It's
for
not.
you.
But it should be Reese's. You should send us
That's the
lifetime
guy's
supply
name.
cups.
That's apostrophe S. That's his. This is his peanut butter cup.
It is.
Someone ain't wearing a jersey this go around. Well, Jake Pale.
Jersey guy.
Jake Pale, shout out to you.
Unbearably annoying. Was that the?
How you gonna like?
Can I keep you guys calm and like? Can we dial it in?
Don't
Dial it in.
talk
people.
over me or whatever.
Yeah, nobody interrupt anybody. Everybody finish their thought.
All right, so how we starting this off?
You just did that. You just overrode me.
How we starting this off?
God damn.
Yeah.